Mom said, "Miss Christmas, you're too embarrassing." Then the Forbes cover appeared. The call came on December 12th, just 13 days before our family's annual Christmas Eve gathering at my parents' place in Westchester County. I was sitting in my office in downtown Chicago, reviewing quarterly reports, when my phone lit up with Mom on the screen. "Talia, sweetheart, we need to discuss the holidays," she said. Her voice had that careful quality, the one she used when she was about to deliver news she knew I wouldn't like. I set down my coffee. "What's going on?" "Nothing's wrong, honey. It's just that this year is particularly special. Your cousin Vanessa is bringing her fiancé, Christopher Harrington, to Christmas Eve dinner." She paused, and I could hear her choosing her words carefully. "The Harringtons are established family, Talia. Christopher's great-grandfather founded Harrington Steel. They've been in society circles since before the Depression." I waited, knowing there was more. "Vanessa is understandably anxious about this dinner. Christopher's parents will be attending as well. It's really more of a formal family introduction before the wedding. Your Aunt Patricia feels it would be best if we kept the guest list focused. Just immediate family who can speak to our family's achievements and standing." "I am immediate family, Mom." "Of course you are, darling." Another pause. "But you have to understand, the Harringtons move in very specific circles. They have certain expectations about the company they keep. Vanessa is concerned that having someone there who's still finding their footing professionally might create the wrong impression about our family." The words landed exactly as she'd intended them to. Still finding their footing. That's how my family had described me for the past 7 years. I'd graduated from Stanford with a degree in software engineering. Moved to Chicago. Started working at what I told them was a small tech company. I lived in a modest apartment in Wicker Park, drove a 12-year-old Subaru, shopped at H&M. To my family, my investment banker father, my socialite mother, my corporate attorney sister Lauren, and my surgeon brother Nathan, I looked like the cautionary tale. The one who'd chosen wrong. What they didn't know was that the small tech company was one I'd co-founded with 2 Stanford classmates in 2016. A company called Cypher Solutions that built AI-powered cybersecurity platforms for enterprise clients. What they didn't know was that I owned 28% of the company. What they didn't know was that we just closed a $300 million Series D funding round in September, valuing Cypher at $1.6 billion. What they didn't know was that my personal stake was worth approximately $448 million. What they didn't know was that Forbes had been tracking our growth for the past year and a half, and they'd scheduled me for a feature in their 30 Under 30 issue dropping on Christmas morning. I'd kept everything quiet for reasons that seemed strategic at first. In the beginning, I wanted to build something without my father's interference or my mother's social engineering. Dad had very particular ideas about respectable careers, finance, law, medicine. Tech entrepreneurship wasn't on that list. As Cypher grew, I maintained the silence for a different reason. I wanted to conduct an experiment. I wanted to see if my family would value me for who I was, not what I'd achieved. I wanted to know if they'd show up for me when I appeared to have nothing impressive to offer. They didn't. Every family gathering became an exercise in subtle cruelty. Lauren would ask loudly, "Still working at that startup?" Nathan would somehow forget to save me a seat at dinner. Dad would check his phone whenever I spoke. And Mom would smile apologetically at relatives and say things like, "Talia's still exploring her options." Now, apparently, I'd become too much of an embarrassment to attend Christmas. "So you're uninviting me," I said, keeping my voice level. "We're not uninviting you, honey. We're asking you to understand that this particular dinner is crucial for Vanessa's future. Her entire life depends on making the right impression with the Harrington family. We can't risk anything that might jeopardize that." "Anything like me. Talia, please don't be dramatic. We'll do something special, just the 2 of us. After the holidays, we can have brunch at that little place you like in your neighborhood." That little place was actually Alinea, where I'd hosted our Series C celebration dinner. But Mom had never asked enough about my life to know that. "It's fine, Mom. I understand." "Oh, thank goodness. I knew you'd be reasonable. You've always been so understanding about these things." After we hung up, I sat in my corner office overlooking Lake Michigan and made a decision. I pulled up my contacts and called our publicity director, Olivia Santos. "Olivia, the Forbes feature. When does it go live? Digital edition drops Christmas morning at 5 a.m. Central. Print edition hits stands the same day. Why? I need maximum visibility. Contact everyone on our media list. Make sure every major outlet knows it's coming. Talia, it's already going to trend hard. Forbes 30 under 30 always does. But yeah, I can amplify. What's the occasion? Just making sure my family can find it, I said. The 7 years between Stanford graduation and that phone call had been carefully constructed. I'd met my co-founders, Jordan Wells and Priya Kapoor, during our sophomore year. We'd all been working on different aspects of network security research. Jordan was brilliant with algorithm design. Priya could identify system vulnerabilities faster than anyone I'd ever met. I specialized in machine learning applications for threat prediction. We started Cypher Solutions in Priya's cramped studio apartment with $38,000 we'd scraped together from internship savings and a small seed grant from Stanford's Entrepreneurship Center. Our first product was rough but functional, an AI system that could learn organizational network behavior and flag unusual activity in real time. We sold it to 4 small businesses in our first year, bringing in $150,000 in revenue. My family thought I was working as a junior developer somewhere. I kept my explanations deliberately vague. I'm doing cybersecurity work. Technically accurate. Year 2, we landed our first major client, a regional healthcare network that needed better data protection. Revenue hit 900,000. We hired our first 3 employees. My family asked why I still lived in a sketchy neighborhood. Year 3, we developed our breakthrough product, a predictive threat detection system that could identify potential attacks before they happened. We called it Sentinel. A Fortune 500 financial services company bought an enterprise license for $7 million. I bought a slightly newer used car, a 2017 Honda Accord. My father asked why I wasn't driving a Mercedes like my siblings. Year 4, Sentinel became the talk of enterprise security circles. We signed 18 major contracts totaling $56 million. We raised our Series A $42 million from a top-tier VC firm. I moved to a better apartment in Wicker Park, nothing fancy, just more space. My mother asked when I'd buy a real home like Lauren had. Year 5, we expanded internationally. Offices in London, Toronto, and Berlin. Revenue hit $160 million. Series B funding brought in $85 million at a $520 million valuation. I bought a small townhouse near Lincoln Park. Comfortable, not showy. My brother asked if I needed help with the mortgage. Year 6, we became an industry standard. If you were a major corporation handling sensitive information, you used Cypher Solutions. Our client list included 39 Fortune 500 companies. Revenue, $300 million. Series C, $150 million at a $900 million valuation. We'd become a unicorn. I still wore H&M to family dinners. Year 7, we secured government contracts. Department of Treasury, National Security Agency, Pentagon. Revenue exceeded $450 million. We were the company everyone in tech was watching. I still drove the Accord. September 2023, Series D closed. $300 million at $1.6 billion valuation. We were preparing for IPO discussions in early 2024. Forbes reached out for the 30 under 30 feature. And my family uninvited me from Christmas because I was an embarrassment. The beautiful irony was that I deliberately maintained my modest lifestyle as a test. I wanted to see if my family loved Talia the person or Talia the achievement. I wanted to know if they'd value me when I appeared to have nothing worth celebrating. Every dismissive comment, every forgotten invitation, every casual cruelty had been noted and remembered. I wasn't hiding my success. I was watching to see who deserved to share it. The Forbes interview happened on December 16th, 4 days after my mother's call. The journalist, Amanda Chin, The journalist, Amanda Rodriguez, met me at Cypher headquarters. Our offices occupied 5 floors of a converted warehouse building in Chicago's West Loop. Exposed brick, floor-to-ceiling windows, open collaborative spaces. We employed 280 people. This is incredible, Amanda said, looking around. How old are you? 28. I'll turn 29 in April. And you built all this in 7 years? With my co-founders, yes. The interview lasted almost 4 hours. Amanda asked about the technology, the funding rounds, our client acquisitions. She asked about challenges, setbacks, lessons learned. Then she asked about my family. Your background says you're from Westchester County. That's affluent territory. Did your family support your entrepreneurial path? This was the moment. I could lie. I could deflect. I could protect them. Instead, I told the truth. My family doesn't know what I do, I said. They think I work at a small tech company making a modest salary. They've never asked for details. They've decided I'm the family disappointment, and they've never been curious enough to question whether that assumption is accurate. Amanda's pen stopped moving. They don't know you're worth over $400 million? They don't know I co-founded Cypher. They don't know my title is Chief Technology Officer. They don't know I hold 28% equity. They've never asked to visit my office. They've never asked about my work beyond still at that startup? I smiled. A few days ago, my mother uninvited me from Christmas Eve dinner because my presence would embarrass the family in front of my cousin's wealthy fiancé. She uninvited you? She said having someone who's still finding their footing would send the wrong message about our family's status. Amanda was quiet for a moment. That's going in the article. I assumed it would. Talia, this profile is going to be read by millions of people. Your family will find out everything. I know. On Christmas morning. And you're okay with that? I thought about 7 years of dismissals. 7 years of being overlooked, forgotten, diminished. 7 years of testing whether they'd love me without achievements to validate my worth. I'm not doing this for revenge, I said. I'm doing this because I'm tired of hiding my success to protect people who never protected me. The days before Christmas, I made careful preparations. First, I called our corporate attorney, Michelle Brennan, who'd handled our legal work since Series A. Michelle, I need you to prepare something for me. Complete documentation of my equity stake in Cypher, my role as CTO, and the company's current valuation. Official letterhead, all signatures, everything legally binding. Is there a problem? No problem. I'm going to need proof of something very soon, and I want ironclad documentation. I'll have it ready by December 22nd. Second, I called Olivia back. The Forbes piece is going to create chaos in my personal life, I said. I need you to prepare a statement I can release if necessary. Something brief about maintaining privacy while building the company. Something about family dynamics being complex. Something that protects Jordan and Priya from the drama. Consider it done. Want me to brief the PR team about potential incoming? Yes. Christmas Day is going to be busy. Third, I called my co-founders for a video conference. Listen, you both know I've kept my family separate from Cypher. That's about to change in a very public way. The Forbes profile reveals that my family doesn't know about my role here. It might generate some media interest. I want you prepared. Jordan laughed. Talia, we've got your back. Your family has no idea what they've been missing. Let them find out with everyone else. Priya was more thoughtful. Are you sure about this? Once it's public, you can't undo it. I'm sure. I've spent 7 years making myself small to make them comfortable. I'm done. Finally, on December 22nd, I did something I'd never done before. I went shopping. I bought a dress, a charcoal silk dress from a designer boutique in downtown Chicago. Cost $4,200. I bought shoes to match. I bought jewelry, understated but expensive. I got my hair professionally styled. For 7 years, I dressed down, dressed modest, dressed forgettable. For Christmas, I was going to dress like the CTO of a billion-dollar company. Because even though I wasn't invited to my family's dinner, I had somewhere else to be. Olivia had arranged something perfect. On Christmas evening, there was a charity gala at the Peninsula Chicago, a fundraising event for tech industry leaders benefiting computer science education programs. The guest list included CEOs, venture capitalists, and several Forbes journalists, including Amanda Rodriguez. I RSVP'd yes. If my family was going to celebrate Christmas with old money, I'd celebrate with new money. The money that built things, changed industries, created jobs. On Christmas Eve, I spent the evening alone in my townhouse. Ordered Thai food, watched classic movies, checked my phone periodically. Nothing from my family. No Merry Christmas Eve text. No wish you were here message. No acknowledgement at all. At midnight, I checked the Forbes website. The article wasn't live yet. 5 more hours. I went to bed. My phone started vibrating at 5:03 a.m. The Forbes digital edition had gone live at 5 a.m., exactly as scheduled. By 5:03, the notifications were already cascading. LinkedIn, 62 new connection requests. Email, 104 new messages. Twitter, my mentions were exploding. Text messages from colleagues, congratulations. Why didn't you tell us? Holy shit, Talia. I made coffee and opened the Forbes article on my laptop. The headline read, "The Hidden Billionaire, How Talia Morgan Built a $1.6 billion empire while her family thought she was failing." The photo was striking, me in our offices, standing by floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Chicago River, wearing my typical modest outfit, smiling calmly. The contrast between the humble appearance and the billion-dollar backdrop was intentional. Amanda's article was brilliant. She detailed Cypher's rise, our technology, our client list, our funding rounds. She included quotes from our investors, our clients, even from Jordan and Priya. And then, around paragraph 10, she included my family story. Morgan comes from wealth. Her father is a successful investment banker in Westchester County. Her siblings are established in law and medicine. But her family doesn't know about her success. They think I work at a small tech company, Morgan explained. They've decided I'm the family disappointment, and they've never been curious enough to investigate whether that's true. Just days before this interview, Morgan's mother uninvited her from the family's Christmas Eve dinner, explaining that her presence would embarrass the family in front of relatives bringing wealthy connections to the gathering. Having someone who's still finding their footing would send the wrong message, her mother reportedly said. Morgan, whose personal net worth exceeds $440 million, took the news calmly. I've spent 7 years testing whether my family would value me without achievements to validate my worth, she said. They didn't. The article continued with business details, technology insights, future projections. But those 3 paragraphs were already being screenshot and shared across social media. By 6 a.m., Talia Morgan was trending on Twitter. By 7 a.m., my phone rang. Mom. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again immediately. Dad. Voicemail. Lauren called. Nathan called. Aunt Patricia called. I turned off my phone and went for a run along the lakefront. When I returned at 9:30 a.m., I turned my phone back on. 143 missed calls. 312 text messages. I scrolled through them. Mom, 5:18 a.m., Talia, call me immediately. Mom, 5:29 a.m., Talia, this is not funny. Call me right now. Mom, 6:02 a.m., people are asking me about Forbes. I don't understand what's happening. Dad, 6:47 a.m., Talia, we need to discuss this article. Call me. Lauren, 7:15 a.m., what the hell, Talia? Nathan, 7:42 a.m., is this real? Are you actually a billionaire? Aunt Patricia, 8:26 a.m., Vanessa is devastated. The Harringtons saw the article. We need to talk. I made more coffee. Checked social media. The story had gone completely viral. Tech Twitter was celebrating. Business journalists were requesting interviews. My LinkedIn had essentially crashed from connection requests. And then, at 10:45 a.m., my doorbell rang. I checked the security camera. My entire family stood outside. Mom, Dad, Lauren, Nathan, all dressed in their Christmas finery, clearly having abandoned their celebration to drive to Chicago. I opened the door. Talia. Mom rushed forward, arms outstretched. I stepped back. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, sweetheart. We had to come see you immediately. When we saw the Forbes article, we couldn't believe. Why didn't you tell us? They crowded into my townhouse. The same place Nathan had once called kind of depressing. The same space Lauren had offered to help me upgrade from. Dad stared at me like he'd never seen me before. Talia, this article says you own 28% of a company worth $1.6 billion. That's correct. It says you're the Chief Technology Officer. Correct. It says your personal net worth is over $400 million. Approximately $448 million as of the Series D close. Yes. And you never told us? Mom's voice was wounded. Your own family? I looked at her calmly. You uninvited me from Christmas 3 days ago because I'd embarrass you. That was before we knew. Exactly. The silence that followed was absolute. Lauren broke it. Talia, come on. You have to understand how this looks. You've been pretending to be poor for 7 years. I've been living modestly. There's a difference. I never lied about anything. I told you I worked in tech security. I told you I was doing well. None of you ever asked for details. You were deliberately hiding your success, Nathan said. I was testing whether you'd value me without it. That's not fair, Mom protested. You can't test your own family. I pulled out my phone and opened my photos. October 2019, Lauren's engagement party. I asked if I could bring my business partner to introduce to everyone. You said, quote, let's keep it intimate. We don't need your work friends there. That business partner was Priya Kapoor. She's now worth $512 million. I scrolled. March 2021, Nathan's graduation from his residency program. I mentioned I just closed a major contract and wanted to celebrate with you. Dad said, that's nice, honey, and changed the subject to Nathan's fellowship offers. That contract was $8.5 million from a Fortune 100 company. I scrolled again. November 2022, Thanksgiving. I tried to explain what my company does. Mom interrupted me mid-sentence to ask Lauren about her latest case. You literally stopped me from speaking to talk about Lauren's work instead. We didn't know it was important, Mom said quietly. You didn't ask if it was important. You assumed it wasn't. You assumed I wasn't. Dad's voice was quiet. Talia, we made mistakes. But you're our daughter. We love you. You love the daughter who's worth $448 million. 3 days ago, you didn't love me enough to include me in Christmas dinner. That was a misunderstanding, Aunt Patricia started. You thought having your poor, struggling relative around would embarrass you. You were right to be embarrassed. Not because of me, because of how you treated me. Nathan's eyes were red. Talia, please. You're our sister. I've always been your sister. My net worth doesn't change that. But apparently, it's the only thing that makes me worth including. My phone buzzed. A text from Olivia, Wall Street Journal wants interview. Bloomberg wants statement. CNN requesting appearance tomorrow. Should I schedule? I looked at my family. I need all of you to leave. Talia, Mom started. Now, please. We're not done talking about this, Dad said firmly. Actually, we are. You're done talking at me about what I should have told you. I'm done explaining why I didn't trust you with the most important thing I've ever built. I walked to the door and opened it. Merry Christmas. Enjoy your dinner with the Harringtons. I'm sure having a daughter worth nearly $500 million will help make the right impression. Mom's face crumpled. That's not fair. Neither was uninviting me from Christmas. They filed out slowly. Lauren tried to say something, but I closed the door before she could. I locked it and leaned against it, breathing heavily. My phone rang. This time it was Priya. Talia, have you seen Twitter? We're trending #1 worldwide. I saw. Are you okay? Are you kidding?
I'm amazing.
The family stuff in the article, that was brave.
I'm okay.
Better than okay, actually. Good. Because Olivia just forwarded me interview requests from every major outlet. You're about to become very famous. I smiled. Send me the list. Let's talk about which ones align with our IPO timeline. Now you're thinking like a CEO. Merry Christmas, Talia. Merry Christmas, Priya. I hung up and walked to my window. Chicago stretched out below, decorated with Christmas lights, beautiful and peaceful. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Mom, please call. We can fix this. I deleted it. There was nothing to fix. For 7 years, I'd given them every opportunity to see me. They'd chosen not to look. Now the whole world was looking. And I was just getting started. The next 48 hours were a masterclass in consequences. Christmas evening, I attended the Peninsula Gala in my charcoal silk dress. The moment I walked in, the energy shifted. Conversations paused. People turned. Heads swiveled. Amanda Rodriguez approached immediately, champagne in hand. Talia, you look stunning. How are you holding up? Better than expected. Your family showed up at my door this morning. All of them. And I sent them away. She smiled. Good for you. Come on, there are people who've been dying to meet you. She introduced me to venture capitalists who'd been courting Cypher for years, CEOs interested in partnerships, journalists requesting interviews. I spent 4 hours networking with people who valued what I'd built, not who my family was. At one point, I found myself talking with Diana Rothstein, CEO of a Fortune 50 technology company and one of the most respected women in business. I read your Forbes profile this morning, she said. The part about your family, that took courage. It was just honesty. Honesty is courage when everyone expects you to keep quiet. She paused. My father didn't speak to me for 3 years after I left law school to start my first company. He thought I was throwing away my future. Now he tells everyone he always believed in me. What did you do? I kept building. I kept being honest about the journey. Eventually, they either accept reality or they don't. But you can't build something meaningful while carrying people who don't believe in you. That conversation stayed with me. December 26th, the story exploded further. The Wall Street Journal ran a feature, Tech's Hidden Billionaire, Why Talia Morgan Kept Her Family in the Dark. Bloomberg covered it. TechCrunch did a deep dive on Cypher's technology and valuation. The narrative that emerged was fascinating. Social media split into camps. One camp celebrated the building in secret angle, the idea that I'd built something extraordinary without fanfare or family pressure. Tech founders shared their own stories of family members who didn't understand their work. Another camp debated the ethics of testing family. Therapists weighed in about family dynamics and unconditional love. But the dominant narrative was about class, old money versus new money, and the cruelty of families who value appearance over substance. My family became a symbol of everything wrong with inherited wealth mentality. December 27th, my phone rang from an unknown number. I answered. Talia Morgan speaking. Ms. Morgan, this is Christopher Harrington. I nearly dropped my phone. Vanessa's fiancé? Former fiancé. I'm calling because I owe you an apology. I had no idea your family had uninvited you from Christmas because of me, because of my family's expectations. That's unconscionable. I was silent, shocked. I want you to know that I told Vanessa yesterday that any family who would treat you that way isn't a family I want to marry into. I ended our engagement. You what? I ended it. My family has old money, yes. But we earned that money through innovation and hard work 4 generations ago. My great-grandfather would be horrified to know his name was used to exclude someone like you, someone who's actually building something meaningful. He paused. I'm sorry you were hurt, and I'm sorry I was used as an excuse. Christopher, you didn't have to. I did, and I have. I wish you the best, Ms. Morgan. I've already instructed my investment team to reach out to Cypher about potentially participating in your Series E when the time comes. He hung up. I stared at my phone in disbelief. 20 minutes later, my phone exploded with calls from family members. Aunt Patricia, what did you do? Christopher ended the engagement. Mom, Vanessa is devastated. She's saying you ruined her life. Lauren, Talia, you need to fix this. Call Christopher and explain. I turned my phone off again. I didn't ruin Vanessa's life. She ruined her own engagement by being part of a family that excluded people based on perceived status. Christopher Harrington, despite his old money pedigree, had more integrity than my entire family combined. December 28th, I received a letter via courier. It was from my father, handwritten on his personal stationery. Talia, I have spent 4 days trying to understand how we arrived here. I have read the Forbes article 23 times. I have read every comment, every analysis, every social media discussion about our family. I want to tell you that we didn't mean to hurt you. I want to tell you that we always loved you. I want to tell you that we simply didn't understand. But those would be excuses. The truth is that we valued achievement over character. We valued appearance over substance. We valued what you could do for the family's image rather than who you were as a person. Your mother is devastated. Your siblings are confused and hurt. Your aunt is furious about Vanessa's broken engagement. But none of their feelings matter as much as this: you were right. You built something extraordinary while we dismissed you. You proved yourself while we doubted you. You succeeded while we predicted failure. And when your success became public, our first thought wasn't pride, it was how we could benefit from it. I am ashamed. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect reconciliation. I'm writing because you deserve to know that I finally see what I couldn't see before. You didn't need us to succeed. But we needed you to matter. I'm sorry we failed you. Dad. I read the letter 4 times. It was the most honest thing my father had ever said to me. It also didn't change anything. 6 months later, I stood on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange wearing a custom navy suit, watching Cipher Solutions go public. The IPO priced at $38 per share, valuing the company at $3.9 billion. My stake was now worth $1.1 billion. Jordan, Priya, and I rang the opening bell together. Our 280 employees cheered from the trading floor. Our investors celebrated. Our clients sent congratulations. My family wasn't there. I'd invited them, sent formal invitations through Michelle in April. Mom declined via text: "We don't want to intrude on your professional moment." The truth was simpler. They were ashamed to face the public scrutiny. After the Forbes article went viral, our family dynamics had become a case study. Business schools taught it. Psychology courses analyzed it. Family therapists discussed it. The Morgan family case was taught at Kellogg Business School as an example of how families can damage high-performing members through exclusion and dismissal. My mother couldn't attend a charity event in Westchester without someone asking about that Forbes article. My father had resigned from one board when members kept bringing it up. Lauren and Nathan had both reached out multiple times. Lauren apologized genuinely, repeatedly. Nathan sent long emails about family therapy and healing. I'd responded politely but maintained distance. The person who surprised me most was Vanessa. She'd called in March, 3 months after Christopher ended their engagement. Talia, I need to apologize. Actually, I need to do more than apologize. I need to thank you. For what? For exposing exactly who I'd become. Christopher was right to end things. I was so focused on marrying into the right family that I forgot to be a decent person. I excluded you because you didn't fit my image of success. That's unforgivable. Vanessa. Let me finish. I've spent 3 months in therapy. Real therapy, not just talking to a counselor. I'm learning that I constructed my entire life around other people's approval. I don't even know what I actually want anymore. She paused. I enrolled in a graduate program. Social psychology. I start in the fall. Social psychology? I want to understand why people do this to each other. Why families hurt their own members. I want to help prevent it. I want to do something that actually matters. We'd met for coffee after that. Started rebuilding something, not the cousin relationship we'd had before, but something more honest. Now, at the NYSE, watching our stock ticker CYPH flash on screens, my phone buzzed. Vanessa, watching the live stream. So incredibly proud of you. You did this. Christopher Harrington, congratulations, Ms. Morgan. Told you we'd invest in Series E. Looking forward to our partnership. Olivia, stock up 41% in first 2 hours. You're officially a billionaire. How does it feel? I looked around the trading floor. At Jordan, who'd believed in our vision from day one. At Priya, who debugged code at 3 a.m. in her studio apartment. At our employees who'd built this company into something that mattered. I thought about my family, absent but finally honest about why. I thought about 7 years of testing, watching, building in secret while being dismissed as a disappointment. I thought about the choice I'd made to value authenticity over approval. And I realized something. I wasn't relieved that they finally saw my success. I was relieved that I'd stopped needing them to. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost declined, but something made me answer. Talia Morgan speaking. Ms. Morgan, this is Senator Wallace's office. The senator would like to know if you'd be available for a meeting next week to discuss a new technology education initiative she's launching. She was very impressed by your Forbes profile and your commitment to educational access. I smiled. I'd be honored. Have your office send the details to my assistant. After I hung up, Jordan appeared at my side. Everything good? Everything's perfect. Senator wants to meet about education programs. Of course she does. You're Talia Morgan, billionaire tech CEO who built an empire while her family thought she was failing. He grinned. Never gets old. It really doesn't. We watched the stock ticker together. CYPH climbing, climbing, climbing. Hey Talia, Jordan said quietly. Yeah. I'm glad you kept it secret from them. I'm glad you protected what we built until it was strong enough to speak for itself. Me too. And I'm glad you're my friend, not just my co-founder. I looked at him. My actual family, the one I'd chosen. The one that had showed up when I appeared to have nothing. Me too, I said. My phone buzzed one more time. Mom, watching the stock exchange coverage. You look beautiful. I'm sorry I'm not there. I understand why. I love you. I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I typed back. I love you too. But love isn't enough anymore. It has to be accompanied by respect, curiosity, and belief. When you're ready to offer those, we can talk. I hit send and put my phone away. The stock ticker showed CYPH at $53, up 39%. Jordan raised his champagne glass. To Cypher. Priya appeared with her own glass. To the team. I raised mine. To building things that matter with people who believed in us when we had nothing to offer but potential. We clinked glasses. Below us, the trading floor roared with activity. Our company. Our creation. Our proof that success isn't about where you come from or who believes in you. It's about what you build when no one's watching. And I'd built something extraordinary. The Forbes cover that had exposed my family's cruelty was now framed, hanging in our office lobby. Not as a trophy of revenge, but as a reminder. The people who dismiss you when you're building are rarely the people you want celebrating when you've succeeded. I'd learned that lesson at Christmas. And I'd never forget it. 3 months after the IPO, I received one more letter. This time from my mother, also handwritten. Talia, I've started therapy. Real therapy, not just sessions where I complain about my problems. I'm learning things about myself I don't particularly like. I'm learning that I raised you to value achievement because I was raised that way. I'm learning that I measured your worth by your status because I was taught to measure my own worth the same way. I'm learning that when you didn't fit the mold I expected, I dismissed you instead of questioning the mold. I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness. I'm writing to tell you that I'm trying to change. Not for you, I've forfeited the right to ask anything of you. I'm changing for me, because I don't want to be the person who did this to her own daughter. Your father has joined me in therapy. Lauren and Nathan are doing their own work. We're all trying to understand how we became people who could treat you this way. I don't know if you'll ever want a relationship with us again. I don't know if we deserve one. But I wanted you to know that we're finally asking the questions we should have asked 7 years ago. I'm proud of you. Not because you're successful, though you are, but because you had the strength to stand up to us. Because you valued yourself when we didn't. Because you built something meaningful while we were busy judging you for how it looked from the outside. I'm sorry it took losing you to learn how to see you. Mom. I read the letter sitting in my office, Lake Michigan stretching out beyond my windows. I read it twice, then put it in my desk drawer. Maybe someday I'd respond. Maybe someday we'd rebuild something. But for now, I had a company to run, 280 employees to support, and $1 billion enterprise to grow. I had friends who'd believed in me from the beginning. I had co-founders who'd built something extraordinary with me. I had a life I'd constructed on my own terms, without compromise or apology. My phone buzzed. Priya, board meeting in 10. Ready to discuss Q2 projections? I smiled and grabbed my laptop. Ready. See you there. I walked out of my office, past the framed Forbes cover, past the photographs of our team celebrating milestones, past the evidence of everything we'd built. I'd spent 7 years invisible to my family. Now I was building something too big to ignore. And I'd done it on my own terms. That, I realized, was worth more than their approval ever could be.